English Quiz Podcast.
From English Learning Level 3. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Quiz Podcast. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's learn English together through real conversations.
Today's episode is all about everyday English. We'll give you simple multiple-choice questions. But remember, the quiz is only the beginning.
Exactly. After every answer, we'll chat about it like two friends. We'll explain why it's correct, share funny stories, and help you remember it forever.
This episode is perfect for Level 3 English learners. Don't worry if you make mistakes. Every mistake is another step toward fluency.
I make mistakes all the time. Last week, I forgot the word receipt and asked for the shopping paper. The cashier understood, eventually.
That's why we practice. Learning English isn't about being perfect. It's about communicating.
Before we reveal each answer, pause the video and choose your answer. Leave your score in the comments when we're finished.
Ready?
Let's begin.
Complete the sentence. I usually blank coffee before I go to work. A. Drink. B. Eat. C. Wear. D. Build.
Which one sounds natural? Take a few seconds to think. Pause the video if you'd like.
The correct answer is
A.
drink. The verb drink means to take liquid into your mouth and swallow it. Coffee is a drink, so we drink coffee. We don't eat coffee. Well, unless someone invents crunchy coffee chips one day.
That would certainly be interesting.
I'd probably buy them because I love coffee.
Here's another example. I drink water after exercising.
So what's the difference between eat and drink?
We usually eat solid food like rice, bread, apples, or pizza. We drink liquids like water, milk, tea, or coffee.
Unless you're eating soup with a spoon. Then English becomes a little funny because you can both eat soup and drink soup, depending on the situation.
That's true. Language often depends on context.
Anna, what's the first thing you drink in the morning?
Usually a cup of tea while I read a few pages from a book. It helps me start the day calmly.
There it is. Anna and her books. I knew books would appear before question 2.
You know me well.
What about everyone watching? Do you drink coffee, tea, juice, or just water? Tell us in the comments.
Here's a memory tip. Imagine holding a cup. If it's liquid, you probably drink it.
Simple picture, simple memory.
Great job. Let's move on.
Here's the next one. My sister is very blank. She always helps everyone. A. Kind. B. Quickly. C. Table. D. Tomorrow.
Think carefully. Which word describes a person's personality?
Time's up.
The correct answer is
A. Kind.
kind is an adjective. It describes someone who is caring, helpful, and nice to other people.
Everyone enjoys spending time with kind people.
Here's an example. Our neighbor is very kind. She brings us homemade cookies every holiday.
I suddenly want kind neighbors.
Maybe they already are. They just don't bake cookies.
Fair enough.
Now, let's look at the other choices.
Quickly is an adverb. It tells us how someone does something. He runs quickly.
Table is a noun. It's an object.
Unless your table starts helping people, it can't describe your sister.
That would be a very unusual table.
And tomorrow tells us about time, not personality.
Here's a tiny real-life story. Imagine you're new at work. You don't know where anything is. One coworker smiles, shows you around the office, answers your questions, and even invites you to lunch.
You'd probably think, wow, that person is really kind.
Exactly.
You know, kindness is one of the easiest English words to remember because everyone has experienced it.
That's a wonderful learning tip. Connect new vocabulary to your own memories.
Just like we connected coffee with my morning routine a few minutes ago.
I remember that already.
See? We're creating little memories together.
Here's today's memory tip. When you meet someone who smiles, helps others, and makes people feel comfortable, think of the word kind.
And here's a challenge. Can you write one sentence using the word kind? We'd love to read it in the comments.
Fantastic work! You've already completed the first 2 questions.
We learned about drink and kind, shared a few laughs, and yes, I admitted once again that coffee is one of my favorite things.
And I managed to mention books before the 3rd question.
Some traditions should never change.
In part 2, the questions become a little more challenging, and we'll continue building your English through natural conversations.
Don't forget to pause, answer each question, and celebrate every correct answer. Every small step helps you become a more confident English speaker.
We'll see you in part 2.
Bye, everyone.
Welcome back, everyone. Great job making it this far. You already learned the difference between drink and eat, and you also discovered how to describe someone who is kind.
And yes, I'm still thinking about coffee. Don't worry, though. I promise I won't ask for shopping paper again.
That's progress already.
Ready for another question? Here we go.
Complete the sentence. We blank to the supermarket every Saturday. A, goes. B, go. C, going. D, gone.
Take your time. Which form matches we?
The correct answer is
B, go.
excellent. We use go with the subject we in the present simple tense.
The present simple talks about routines and habits, things we do regularly.
Since the sentence says every Saturday, we know it's a regular habit.
So we say, we go to the supermarket every Saturday.
Exactly. Let's compare. I go. You go. We go. They go. But he goes. She goes. It goes.
That little ES causes so many problems for English learners.
It does, but with practice, it becomes natural.
Sometimes I almost say we goes. Then Anna gives me that teacher look.
I don't think I have a teacher look.
You definitely do. It's very kind, but I immediately know I made a mistake.
Well, correcting mistakes is part of learning.
Here's a real-life example. Every Saturday morning, I usually go shopping before buying my coffee.
Coffee again?
I'm being consistent.
Imagine a family. Every Saturday, they leave home together. They buy fruit, they buy vegetables, sometimes they buy cookies. That routine happens every week. So we naturally say they go to the supermarket every Saturday.
Anna, what's on your shopping list every week?
Fresh fruit, vegetables, tea, yogurt, and usually one new bookmark.
Wait, you buy bookmarks almost as often as books?
Sometimes reading is about the little things.
My shopping basket has coffee. Anna's has bookmarks. Everyone has priorities.
Here's today's memory tip. If the subject is I, you, we, or they, use go. If the subject is he, she, or it, use goes.
Tell us one place you go every week. Maybe school, work, the gym, a restaurant? Practice using go in the comments.
Wonderful work. Let's continue.
Here's another one. The movie was so blank that everyone laughed. A, funny. B, hungry. C, quietly. D, window.
Think carefully. Which word best describes the movie? Ready? The answer is
A. Funny.
That's an easy one if you've ever watched a comedy.
Funny is an adjective. It describes something that makes people laugh.
Here's another example. My friend told a funny joke.
Notice that funny describes the joke. It tells us what kind of joke it was.
So why aren't the other answers correct?
Hungry describes a person who needs food. A movie cannot be hungry.
Unless it's a monster movie that eats everyone.
Even then, we'd probably describe the monster as hungry, not the movie.
Good point.
Quietly is an adverb. It describes how an action happens. For example, he spoke quietly.
And window is just a window.
Exactly.
Let's imagine something. You're watching a movie with your friends. One funny scene happens, then another. Soon everyone is laughing so loudly that people in the next room can hear. After the movie, someone asks, "How was it?" You answer, "It was really funny."
That's a natural conversation you'll hear very often.
Emma, what's the funniest movie you've watched recently?
I watched a family comedy where a clever dog kept outsmarting everyone. I laughed much more than I expected.
Dogs always steal the show.
They really do.
You know what's funny? Every episode, I try not to mention coffee, and somehow coffee still appears.
That's becoming one of our traditions.
Maybe next time I'll watch a funny movie while drinking coffee.
Just don't spill it when you laugh.
No promises.
Here's your memory tip. If something makes you smile or laugh, remember the adjective funny. What's the funniest movie or TV show you've ever seen? Tell us in the comments and practice using today's new vocabulary. Fantastic progress! Today, we practiced the verb go for routines and the adjective funny for describing things that make us laugh.
We're slowly building a strong English vocabulary, and we're doing it through real conversations instead of memorizing long word lists.
If you've answered all 4 questions so far, take a moment to celebrate your progress. Learning happens one conversation at a time.
And if you've been keeping score, don't forget to tell us how you're doing. I'm cheering for everyone.
In Part 3, we'll continue with questions 5 and 6. The conversations will become a little deeper, and you'll learn even more useful English for everyday life.
We'll see you there. Bye, everyone.
Welcome back, everyone. You're doing wonderfully. We've already talked about drink, kind, go, and funny.
And we've also learned that my shopping basket always has coffee, while Anna's somehow finds room for another bookmark.
I still think bookmarks are a perfectly reasonable purchase.
I'm not arguing anymore. I've accepted it.
Let's continue building your English one conversation at a time.
Here's question 5. Complete the sentence. I can't answer the phone now because dinner. A, cook. B, am cooking. C, cooked. D, cooking.
Think carefully. Which answer shows an action happening right now?
Ready? The correct answer is
B, am cooking.
great job.
We use the present continuous tense to describe something happening at this moment.
The sentence says, I can't answer the phone now. The word now tells us the action is happening right now.
So we say, I am cooking dinner.
Let's compare. I cook dinner. This means it's something you usually do. But I am cooking dinner. This means you're doing it at this moment.
Exactly. One describes a routine. The other describes an action in progress.
Imagine I call Anna. Hi, Anna. Want to grab a coffee? She replies, I'm cooking dinner. Well,
I guess coffee can wait.
Thank you for understanding.
Actually, this happens all the time. Someone calls, you answer, "Sorry, I'm driving. I'm studying. I'm working. I'm cooking." These are all actions happening right now.
That's why the present continuous is so useful in everyday conversations.
Anna, what's your favorite meal to cook?
I enjoy making vegetable pasta. It's simple, healthy, and I can read a chapter of my book while the sauce slowly cooks. You even find a way to read while cooking? Only while waiting. Safety first.
Good answer. When I cook, I usually play music. Sometimes I dance. Sometimes I burn the toast.
Hopefully not both at the same time.
No promises.
Here's your memory tip. If you can point to the action and say, "It's happening now," use am, is, or are plus the ing form of the verb.
Tell us in the comments, what are you doing right now? Maybe I'm watching this podcast? I'm drinking tea. I'm studying English. Practice using the present continuous.
Excellent work. Let's move on. Complete the sentence. My brother is very blank because he exercises every day. A, strong. B, slowly. C, chair. D, yesterday.
Which word describes your brother? Take a moment.
Time's up.
The correct answer is
A, strong.
nice work.
Strong is an adjective. It describes someone who has physical power or good muscle strength.
Here's an example. My grandfather is 80 years old, but he's still very strong.
Now, let's look at the other options.
Slowly is an adverb. It tells us how someone does something. He walks slowly.
Chair is a noun. It's an object.
Although after a long workout, a chair suddenly becomes your best friend.
That's true for many people.
Yesterday tells us about time. It doesn't describe a person.
Let's imagine a small story. A woman decides to improve her health. She starts walking every morning. A few weeks later, she begins lifting light weights. Month after month, she becomes healthier and stronger. Her friends notice the difference. They say, "You look really strong."
That's a natural compliment.
Jake, do you exercise regularly?
I do. Mostly because I need enough energy to carry bags of coffee from the supermarket.
I knew coffee would find its way into today's conversation again.
It's becoming our unofficial mascot.
It's becoming our unofficial mascot. I enjoy taking long walks while listening to audiobooks. It's relaxing and healthy at the same time.
Books again. You're amazingly consistent.
Reading and walking make a wonderful combination.
What kinds of exercise do our listeners enjoy? Walking, running, swimming, yoga? Tell us in the comments.
Here's your memory tip. Think of a superhero lifting something heavy. That picture can help you remember the adjective strong.
Visual memories are powerful. The more pictures you create in your mind, the easier English becomes.
Fantastic progress! Today we learned how to talk about actions happening right now using the present continuous, and we added the adjective strong to our vocabulary.
You're probably noticing something important. Every new word becomes easier to remember because we're connecting it to stories, conversations, and everyday life instead of memorizing isolated lists.
That's exactly how language grows, through meaningful experiences.
And through coffee, apparently.
And perhaps the occasional new bookmark.
In Part 4, we'll tackle questions 7 and 8. The challenge will increase just a little, but don't worry, we'll be here to guide you every step of the way.
Keep up the wonderful work, and we'll see you in Part 4.
Bye for now.
Welcome back, everyone. You've already completed 6 questions. take a moment to appreciate how much English you've practiced today.
That's right. Every question isn't just a quiz, it's another real conversation. And yes, I brought another cup of coffee.
I was wondering how long it would take before coffee appeared again.
I almost made it 5 minutes.
You're doing an excellent job. Let's make the next challenge just a little more interesting.
Complete the sentence. If it rains tomorrow, we blank at home. A, stay. B, will stay. C, stayed. D, staying.
Think about the word tomorrow. Which answer talks about the future? Ready? The correct answer is B, will stay.
Excellent.
We use will to talk about future actions, especially when we're making predictions or talking about possible future situations.
The sentence begins with, if it rains tomorrow. That tells us we're talking about a future possibility.
So the second part becomes, we will stay at home.
Here's another example. If I'm tired tonight, I'll go to bed early.
Very natural. Or, if we finish work early, we'll have dinner together.
If I finish work early, I'll probably visit my favorite coffee shop.
I'm beginning to think every road leads to coffee for you.
It certainly feels that way.
Imagine it's Saturday morning. You look outside, dark clouds cover the sky. You check the weather forecast. Heavy rain is expected. Your family says, if it rains tomorrow, we'll stay at home and watch movies. That's a perfectly natural conversation.
Anna, what do you enjoy doing on rainy days?
Reading near the window with a warm cup of tea. Rain makes everything feel peaceful.
I knew books would appear. At this point, our listeners are probably expecting them.
I hope they're not disappointed.
I actually enjoy rainy days too. They're perfect for watching travel documentaries. When the rain stops, I start planning my next trip.
What's one place you still want to visit?
Japan. I'd love to experience the food, the trains, and the beautiful parks during spring.
That sounds like a wonderful goal.
What about you? If you could travel anywhere, where would you go? Practice English by answering in the comments.
Here's today's memory tip. Whenever you hear words like tomorrow, next week, or next year, ask yourself, am I talking about the future? If yes, will is often the right choice.
Fantastic.
Let's continue. Complete the sentence. My teacher explained the lesson so everyone understood. A, clearly. B, clear. C, pencil. D, winter. Think carefully. Which word describes how the teacher explained the lesson? Time's up.
The correct answer is
A, clearly.
great work.
Clearly is an adverb. It tells us how someone explained something.
Listen to the sentence. My teacher explained the lesson very clearly. The word clearly describes the verb explained.
Exactly. Adverbs often describe actions.
So why isn't clear correct?
Clear is an adjective. It describes nouns. For example, the instructions are clear. But when we're describing how someone explained, we need the adverb clearly. It certainly does.
Imagine you're learning to bake a cake. Your friend explains every step slowly. She shows you how much flour to use. She tells you when to mix. She explains everything clearly. You succeed on your first try. That's why good explanations matter.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do in this podcast. Not just give answers, but explain them clearly.
Because understanding lasts much longer than memorizing.
Jake, has anyone ever explained something so clearly that you never forgot it?
Yes, a travel guide once explained the subway system in another country using colors instead of long directions. It was so clear that I never got lost.
That's a wonderful example. Simple explanations often become unforgettable.
Kind of like your reading tips or my coffee stories. Our listeners probably expect both by now.
We do have our traditions.
Think about someone who helped you learn something. Maybe a teacher, a parent, a friend. Did they explain it clearly? Tell us your story in the comments.
Here's your memory tip. If you're describing how an action happens, an adverb is often the answer. Many adverbs end with "ly," like clearly, slowly, carefully, happily.
You're doing an amazing job.
Congratulations! You've now completed 8 out of 10 questions. Take a moment to recognize your progress. Today's lesson has taken us from simple vocabulary to useful grammar, future sentences, and adverbs used in everyday conversations.
Notice how everything connects. We're not just learning random words. We're building sentences, sharing stories, and creating memories that make English easier to remember.
Learning a language is like reading a good book. Every chapter builds on the one before it.
There it is, the book reference. I was waiting for it.
And I was waiting for your coffee joke.
Fair enough. We're even.
In part 5, we'll finish with questions 9 and 10. Celebrate everything you've learned.
You're almost at the finish line. Let's complete this journey together. See you in part 5.
Welcome back to the final part of today's episode. You've already completed 8 questions, and we're so proud of how far you've come.
Absolutely. We've talked about coffee, books, shopping, cooking, travel, rainy days, and even superhero strength. That's a lot of English packed into one episode.
And every conversation helped us learn naturally.
Let's keep going. Just 2 more questions.
Complete the sentence. I forgot my umbrella, blank, I got wet. A, because. B, but. C, so. D, although.
Think about the relationship between the 2 ideas.
The correct answer is
C, so.
excellent.
So connects a cause and a result. I forgot my umbrella. That's the cause. I got wet. That's the result.
Together, they become I forgot my umbrella, so I got wet.
Here's another example. I studied every evening, so I passed my English exam.
Or the bus arrived late, so we missed the beginning of the movie.
One rainy day, I forgot my umbrella because I was too busy thinking about where to buy my next cup of coffee.
That sounds believable.
I got completely soaked. The coffee was still worth it.
I'm not surprised.
Let's imagine another situation. A student forgets to charge a laptop. The battery dies during an online class. The student says, I forgot to charge my laptop, so it turned off. That's exactly how we use so.
Small connecting words like so, because, and but make your English sound much more natural.
Anna, have you ever forgotten an umbrella?
More than once. Fortunately, I usually keep a book in my bag,
Of course you do.
so I can read while waiting for the rain to stop.
That might be the most Anna answer ever.
Here's your memory tip. When one thing happens because of another, so often connects the result.
Can you make your own sentence with so?
Share it in the comments.
Here's our final question. Complete the sentence. By the time we arrived, the meeting blank. A, starts. B, started. C, had started. D, starting.
This one is a little more challenging. Read it carefully.
Ready? The answer is
C, had started.
fantastic if you got that right.
We use the past perfect tense when one action happened before another action in the past.
The meeting started first. Then we arrived. So we say, by the time we arrived, the meeting had started.
Notice the order of events. First, the meeting started. Second, we arrived.
Here's another example. When I reached the station, the train had already left.
That's a sentence many travelers know very well.
Unfortunately, I've experienced that more than once.
Was that during one of your trips?
Yes. I stopped to buy a coffee.
I knew coffee was involved somehow.
And by the time I reached the platform, the train had already left. I had plenty of time to think about my life choices.
At least you had good coffee.
That's true.
Imagine you're attending an important meeting. Traffic is heavy. You finally arrive. Everyone is already talking. You quietly sit down and whisper, "Sorry, I'm late." The meeting had already started. That's a very natural use of the past perfect.
It helps listeners understand which event happened first.
Congratulations! Whether you scored 3, 6, 8, or all 10 correct answers, you've spent valuable time listening to English, thinking in English, and speaking English. That's something to celebrate. Learning a language isn't about perfection. It's about consistent practice.
Think about everything we've learned today. We practiced verbs, adjectives, adverbs, present simple, present continuous, future sentences, connecting words, and even the past perfect. Most importantly, we learned them through conversations that sound like real life. Along the way, we also discovered that I never seem to travel without coffee.
And I never seem to go anywhere without a book.
I think that's what makes this podcast feel like home.
Before you go, tell us your score in the comments. Also, write one new English word you learned today and one sentence using it.
And if you enjoyed learning this way, share the episode with a friend who's learning English too.
Thank you for spending time with us. Keep practicing, keep speaking, keep believing in yourself.
We'll see you in the next episode of the English Quiz Podcast. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.